Chapter 146. Angelina hastily shouted loudly, "Your Holiness Snow White Madam, please be lenient." Holiness was the title low-level warlocks used to address great warlocks as well as formidable beings above them. Only experts above the great warlock rank were qualified to be called Holiness. This was also one of the titles unique to Tyrannid subcontinent. Dephilia waved her lily-white hand, and Rymont, the genius of white elephant's ivory, immediately turned into sparkling and translucent ice chips. The only remaining storage ring flew into her lily-white hand, and she put it away lightning fast. Angelina's pretty face paled when she saw this, and her beautiful eyes flickered with an extremely complicated glint. "Let's continue the race. As long as no one violates the rules, then I won't act again." Dephilia had the demeanor of an expert. She left behind a few words, then turned around and stepped into Yangfeng's Type 1 lightning dragon. So that fellow Yangfeng's female companion is actually Snow White Madam. I thought that he was an idiot, but I didn't think that he would be so cunning to silently bring a great warlock aboard. With Snow White Madam by his side, no one can harm him. At the entrance of the fiery dragon race track, those princeling warlocks suddenly realized something, feeling both envious and jealous. To have a beautiful great warlock protect them, that was something they didn't even dare to think about. Dephilia had just boarded the Type 1 lightning dragon, when Yang Feng coughed lightly, grasped her little hand, and said with a beaming smile, "Hand it over." Dephilia glared angrily at Yang Feng. "That's my spoils of war." Yang Feng said with a beaming smile, "Your things are my things, and my things are still my things. Therefore, your spoils of war are also my spoils of war." "Shameless. Here you go." Dephilia's cheeks puffed up, and she directly threw the storage ring to Yang Feng. After Yang Feng received the storage ring, he swept its interior with his spirit force, and picked a few materials and elixirs that he needed for cultivation. He then smiled and handed the storage ring to Dephilia, and said straightforwardly, "It's yours." Dephilia's anger turned into joy, and she grabbed the storage ring. "That's more like it." After the match resumed, there was no longer any suspense. Yang Feng piloted the Type 1 lightning dragon to take the lead, rampaging about, pulling far ahead of the second-place Angelina and easily seizing the first place. Then he received his spoils of war from Angelina's hands. With the great warlock rank expert Dephilia keeping watch at Yang Feng's side, Cuxin didn't even dare to say a harsh word. He could only watch helplessly as Yang Feng put away the planar astrolabe, before leaving with a dejected expression on his face. A planar astrolabe. I never thought I would see such a treasure here. A soft sigh sounded, and a stunning beauty wearing a silver-white, low-cut warlock robe with deep cleavage and the bottom of the robe fluttered in the wind, revealing a pair of slender and beautiful legs. She had a voluptuous and sexy figure, dazzling blonde hair, and exuded a strong femininity from head to toe. She was a peerless beauty that would give birth to lust at first sight. "Greetings, Your Holiness Clarissa." Angelina's pretty complexion changed when she saw the peerless beauty. She bowed deeply towards the peerless beauty in salute and said respectfully, "The peerless beauty that would give birth to lust at first sight was one of Rose Garden's 3 great warlocks, Clarissa. She was also one of Rose Garden's 3 great warlocks." "Greetings, Your Holiness Clarissa." At the entrance of the fiery dragon racetrack, apart from Dephilia, everyone bowed deeply and respectfully towards Clarissa. Even Yang Feng was no exception. Apart from great warlocks of the same rank, anyone who saw a great warlock rank expert had to salute. This was one of Tyrannid subcontinent's publicly recognized rules. Although Yang Feng wasn't afraid of any great warlock rank expert, but he still wasn't willing to offend a great warlock for no reason. Although Rose Garden only had 3 great warlocks guarding it, but not only did they have divine armament rank treasures, but they were also on friendly terms with countless experts of the continent. Their hidden forces were enormous. If they went all out, they could even gather more than 10 great warlock rank experts within a short period of time. Clarissa swept Yang Feng with a glance with her beautiful eyes. Her eyes flashed with a whiff of amazement and she said with a light smile, "You're Yang Feng? Not bad, you actually became a level 1 warlock." It seems that your Uncle Yang Yu really dotes on you. Level 1 Warlock. He actually promoted to a Level 1 Warlock. How is this possible? Isn't Yang Feng a waste with an inferior Level 1 soul aptitude? How could such a waste practice cultivation and become a Level 1 Warlock? Clarissa's words immediately set off stormy waves in the hearts of everyone on the fiery dragon racetrack. Inferior rank 1 soul aptitude was the lowest existence in Tyrannid subcontinent. Even an ordinary farmer's soul aptitude might be at intermediate rank 1 or even superior rank 1. In Tyrannid subcontinent, Yang Feng was the first person to promote to an official warlock with an inferior level 1 soul aptitude in several millennia. Angelina swept Yang Feng with a glance, her beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of envy and jealousy. He's actually a Level 1 warlock. To be able to promote to a Level 1 warlock with such a soul aptitude, how many treasures of heaven and earth did he waste? Yang Feng gave a simple and honest smile, as if he was a simple and honest young man who wasn't good with words. Clarissa said with a slight smile, "Dephilia, the last time I saw you was already 50 years ago. How about we go to my Storm Rose Pagoda and have a good chat?" Dephilia pointed at Yang Feng and said, "I promised someone to protect this stinking brat. If I want to go to Storm Rose Pagoda, then I must bring him along." "Alright." Clarissa's eyebrows creased slightly, then loosened and said with a smile, "Angelina, you also come over and help me take care of Yang Feng." Angelina said respectfully, "Yes, Your Holiness." Clarissa waved her lily-white hand, countless pink rose petals fluttered and condensed into a rose magic carpet. After everyone sat on the rose magic carpet, the rose magic carpet flew straight towards Rose Garden's entrance. Among the youngsters coming out of the fiery dragon racetrack's entrance, an ordinary-looking youngster suddenly cursed in a low voice, "Great Warlock, fuck, he actually has a Great Warlock as his bodyguard. Artie, are you sure you can snatch him away from Snow White Madam's hands?" An ordinary-looking youngster with dead fish eyes said coldly, "If it's to assassinate him, then there's a 30% chance of success. To snatch him away alive, then it's impossible. Moreover, those who assassinate him will all die." These two ordinary-looking youngsters were the two great commanders of Warlock College Antalia's Dark Demonic Leopard and Hands of Death, Chux and Art. In order to capture Yang Feng, these two pinnacle level 3 warlocks had personally set out. Chux sighed faintly and said, "Now that he's entered Rose Garden, it'll be even more difficult to capture him alive." Artie said coldly, "Leak the information that Snow White Madam followed Yang Feng to Rose Garden." Chuck's eyes lit up and he exclaimed in admiration, "Good idea. Like this, they definitely won't let go of this good opportunity. Once they and Steel City are mutually wounded, then we'll go and take advantage of the situation. Pass the information that Snow White Madam acted as Yang Feng's bodyguard to Rose Garden to pass to the Underworld's allied forces." Soon after, Chux took out a communications crystal and issued an order in a low voice. Rose Garden was located 10 kilometers north of St. Rose City in the Rose Mountain Range. At the entrance to Rose Mountain Range, there was a long staircase leading deep into the mountain range. Soon, the Rose magic carpet stopped at the entrance to Rose Mountain Range. Clarissa waved her lily-white hand and put away the Rose magic carpet. Within the 6 great warlock groups, there was an extremely formidable forbidden air magic array. Flying was prohibited, only walking was allowed inside. Only experts wearing special secret treasures could fly within their domains. From the entrance to Rose Mountain Range, an up to 6 m long mandala cyclops monitor lizard covered in earth-yellow scales and with a single huge eye crawled out from the side. The huge eye emitted traces of soul fluctuations. Mandala Cyclops Monitor Lizard, a formidable extraordinary life form comparable to a level 3 warlock after reaching adulthood. It has the racial innate skill of soul peering, capable of peering into a warlock's soul origin. Even a great warlock rank expert would also be unable to escape its peering. A line of information emerged on Yang Feng's eyeglasses. The 6 great warlock groups would rear extraordinary life forms with special racial innate skills like the Mandala Cyclops Monitor Lizard in captivity to distinguish between friend and foe, and to prevent the infiltration of spies from other races. Warlocks could change their appearance and body shape through countless secret methods, but their soul origin couldn't be changed. The reason why Yang Feng didn't use his liquid metal robot avatar to participate in the Warlock Convention was, on one hand, to obtain the qualification to practice cultivation in the Rose Divine Pool. On the other hand, it was because the liquid metal robot avatar couldn't conceal itself from an extraordinary life form like the Mandala Cyclops monitor lizard. We're all humans. I've memorized the fluctuations of your soul origin. Your Holiness Clarissa, please come in. The Mandala Cyclops monitor lizard issued a hoarse voice and immediately retreated to one side. Clarissa took Yang Feng and his entourage along the passageway and walked towards the interior of Rose Garden. At the end of the passageway was an incomparably lush garden, with all kinds of rare and exotic flowers in full bloom. They were multicolored, the fragrance of the flowers overflowed, nothing more beautiful than a fairyland. Some beautiful and moving female apprentice warlocks of Rose Garden were shuttling back and forth in the garden, picking all kinds of flowers, looking like fairies from a kingdom of flowers. In the center of the kingdom of flowers, there was a group of warlock pagodas, surrounding and protecting 9 7-story tall warlock pagodas. In the center of the 9 7-story tall warlock pagodas, there was an up to several hundred meters tall resplendent and gorgeous blue rose, absorbing the drifting energy in the surroundings. Incomparably formidable magic energy dispersed from the giant blue rose, making the concentration of magic energy in the surroundings by far higher than in other places. Chapter 147. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar glint as he looked at the giant blue rose. Warlock College and Talia's core energy source is the ancient energy-absorbing tree, while Rose Garden's core energy source is the magical energy blue rose. Although the magical energy blue rose's energy absorption is far inferior to the ancient energy-absorbing tree, but it still has its miraculous aspects. Rose Garden's female experts emerge one after another. It's precisely because of its existence. Rose Garden only recruited women with outstanding talent to practice cultivation. Such a biased method of recruiting talents made it somewhat difficult for them to pass on their inheritance. If it wasn't for the magical energy blue rose's miraculous abilities, then Rose Garden might not even have 3 great warlocks. The majority of the people in Rose Garden were women. After they saw Yang Feng, the only man, their curious gazes focused on him. Among them, there was no lack of passionate young ladies throwing flirtatious glances and blowing kisses at him. Rose Garden was a place where women were superior to men. The women inside were also much more passionate and unrestrained than the women of other forces. Yang Feng followed Clarissa to the bottom of a 7-story tall warlock pagoda, before being brought by Angelina to a garden surrounding the warlock pagoda. Dephilia followed Clarissa into the Storm Rose Pagoda. The Storm Rose Pagoda was like Clarissa's home. For thousands of years, no man had been able to enter it. Yang Feng took a deep breath and sighed slightly within. Such rich magic energy. The magic energy here is at least 4 times richer than Black Cottage's magic energy elemental pool. There's already such rich magic energy outside. Then I wonder how rich the magic energy inside the 7-story tall warlock pagoda would be. This is the disparity between the foundations. In Tyrannid subcontinent, geniuses were as common as clouds. Every once in a while, some peerless geniuses would emerge, promote to great warlocks, and then establish their own forces, flourishing for a time. However, after such geniuses perish, once there was no successor, then that force would gradually decline, before finally disappearing in the long river of history. Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great warlock groups possessed such sacred cultivation grounds as well as all kinds of foundations. That's why great warlock rank experts emerged one after another. They were always at the apex of Tyrannid subcontinent. Angelina suddenly gave a somewhat complicated sigh. Snow White Madam is actually your bodyguard. That's really beyond my expectations. Yang Feng, it seems like your uncle Yang Yi really loves you. Yang Feng smiled and thought silently. Yang Yi is me, I am Yang Yi, I naturally won't mistreat myself. This is Green Cloud Immortal Tea from the continent's Eastern Warlock Empire, the Great Chu Empire. Have a taste. Angelina clapped her hands and a maid handed several cups of steaming hot tea to Yang Feng and his party. Yang Feng took the cup of green cloud immortal tea and took a sip. A bitter taste quickly spread on the tip of his tongue. But in the next moment, a fragrant aroma quickly spread in his mouth, and a warm current spread through his limbs and bones, cleansing his body. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a peculiar glint, and he praised, saying in an overbearing manner, "Good tea, good treasure. Do you have more of this jade cloud immortal tea? How many magic stones? Name a number and I'll buy it." Angelina very gracefully took a sip of the jade cloud immortal tea, comfortably exhaled a long white breath, and said with a smile, "This is a specialty of the continent's Eastern Warlock Empire. Every 50 grams of tea is worth at least one superior magic stone. Most importantly, the amount of this tea spread to our Tyrannid subcontinent is very small. On average, our rose garden can only buy 1 gene of it every year. It's impossible for us to sell it to you." Yang Feng suddenly asked, "The continent? Angelina, how can we go to the continent?" Tyrannid subcontinent's area was already several times larger than the Earth's landmass, but it was merely a small enclave in the world of warlocks. The continent was the birthplace of warlocks, where countless formidable warlocks gathered. Tyrannid subcontinent was merely a corner of the continent that had collapsed after the Great War between experts. Whether it was resources or inheritances, it was far from being able to compare to the continent. Great warlock rank secret methods inheritances in Tyrannid subcontinent were already extraordinary inheritances, but on the continent, they didn't count as anything. There's a sea between Tyrannid subcontinent and the continent, Sea of Monsters. That sea is filled with countless terrifying sea trolls as well as all kinds of incomparably formidable merfolk. In order to go to the continent, one must cross the Sea of Monsters. There are countless formidable monsters in the Sea of Monsters. Even great warlock rank experts, once they fall into the nests of the sea trolls, only death awaits them. Even starry sky warlock rank experts, if they don't have a sufficiently powerful ship, they may also fall in the Sea of Monsters. Every 3 years or so, a fleet will cross the Sea of Monsters and arrive at our Tyrannid subcontinent, selling us all kinds of supplies from the continent, while simultaneously taking away large amounts of top-notch magic stones and our Tyrannid subcontinent's specialty products. That's also the only chance for our Tyrannid subcontinent's warlocks to leave this place. Angelina slowly revealed this big secret to Yang Feng. The continent's information was confidential to ordinary warlocks, but to Steel City, a force with a great warlock overseeing it, it wasn't too confidential. Yang Feng suddenly asked, "Tyrannid subcontinent doesn't have any experts above the Starry Sky warlock rank. Is it because those first-rate geniuses have all gone to the continent?" Angelina slowly sighed. "That's right. Tyrannid subcontinent is barren of resources. Even if there are peerless geniuses who promote to the Starry Sky warlock rank, then there's no way forward. If they don't go to the continent, then they'll remain in the Starry Sky warlock rank for the rest of their lives, and then slowly die of old age. It's not that Tyrannid subcontinent doesn't have any Starry Sky warlock rank experts, but that those experts have already left." Yang Feng continued to ask, "Are there any restrictions on going to the continent?" Angelina said lightly, 4,000 top-notch magic stones can buy a ticket to the continent. Moreover, a ticket can only allow one person to ride." Yang Feng was immediately speechless. At present, he only had 1,100 top-notch magic stones, which wasn't even enough to buy a ticket to the continent. The high price of the ticket meant that only great warlocks or Starry Sky warlock rank experts could go to the continent. Ordinary warlocks simply couldn't come up with the sky-high price of 4,000 top-notch magic stones. Yang Feng asked, "Why don't Warlock College Antalia's holy ones go to the continent? With their strength, several thousand top-notch magic stones isn't an issue for them." Angelina said with a light smile, "In our Tyrannid subcontinent, great warlock rank experts are already at the peak of experts. But in the continent, they're nothing. Only Starry Sky warlock rank experts have a bit of status. In Tyrannid subcontinent, they're already peak existences, so why would they go to the continent and be ordered around?" Yang Feng had a second thought. and had to admit that what Angelina said made sense. In Tyrannid subcontinent, great warlocks could summon the wind and summon the rain. They were peak existences and enjoyed pleasures surpassing that of emperors. They naturally weren't willing to go to the continent and live a life of being ordered around. Only powerful warlocks who had cultivated to the Starry Sky warlock rank and had no way forward, or some freakish geniuses who wholeheartedly pursued the pinnacle of warlocks and were full of confidence in themselves, would they be able to board the giant ship that crossed the sea of monsters and go to the continent. Yang Feng asked, "Are there still Starry Sky warlocks in Tyrannid subcontinent?" "I don't know," Angelina said with a light smile. "Starry Sky warlocks are elusive. In the past millennium, I've never heard of anyone promoting to a Starry Sky warlock. The few Starry Sky warlocks that I know of have already left Tyrannid subcontinent." Yang Feng changed the subject, his eyes shone, and he proposed, "The Warlock Convention will be held in 3 days. How about we join hands and open a betting account for the Warlock Convention? I'll only accept bets that I won't be able to ascend to the top and become the Warlock Convention's #1. The odds are 1/20. This odds is bound to attract countless people to bet. I'll prepare the compensation funds, you'll organize the manpower, spread the news and accept the bets. If I win, then I'll give you 10% of the profits. If I lose, then I'll pay the compensation funds. Regardless of the outcome, you won't suffer any losses." Yang Feng originally thought that he was already very rich after getting rid of a great warlock, but when he saw that the journey to the main continent actually required 4,000 top-notch magic stones, he sobered up and realized that he was still very poor. He still needed to seize any opportunity to earn magic stones. Angelina said with a sweet smile, "That's a good idea, but are you sure you want to open a betting account here? Our Rose Garden will levy a heavy tax of 40% on any public gambling." Yang Feng looked left and right and whispered somewhat furtively, 40%? Isn't that too much? Can it be a bit less? If the tax is too heavy, then your share of profits will correspondingly be reduced by a lot. How about I give you 20% of the profits and abolish the tax? Angelina joked, "I'm sorry, but even if I'm Rose Garden's first successor, I still don't have the authority to change Rose Garden's tax collection policy. If you come to my territory to open a betting account, then I'll exempt you from the tax." Yang Feng muttered with a pained expression, "Shady, really shady. However, I'm an honest person, so it's settled, 40% heavy tax is 40%. You're so confident that you'll be able to become this time's Warlock Convention's #1? After all, this time's Warlock Convention is a gathering of experts. It's a gathering of Tyrannid subcontinent's peak experts of the younger generation. Savage Claws Cookson, Warlock College Antalia's Kashmir, Eyes of Justice's Halden, Black Dragon Pagoda's Nalei, White Ivory's Bagley, Rose Garden's Dietrich, the recently risen Southwest Tiger Lachi, Northern Lion Cobham, Southern Goddess of War Jenny, these are all peak geniuses of the younger generation. Although they're less than 50 years old, but all of them are level 2 warlocks. If coupled with the power of their secret treasures, then they can even contend against level 3 warlocks. You're just a trifling level 1 warlock. It's impossible for you to defeat them. Angelina's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar glint as she said in a deep voice, "The Warlock Convention held by Rose Garden was only open to geniuses of the younger generation." The geniuses of the younger generation referred to warlocks under 50 years of age. Those warlocks under 50 years of age being able to practice cultivation to the level 2 warlock rank was already very terrifying. After all, 90% of warlocks in Warlock College Antalia's Council of Elders were already more than 100 years old when they promoted to level 2 warlocks. Cookson and the others had the cultivation of level 2 warlocks at such a young age. Furthermore, by relying on the power of their secret treasures, they could even contend against some weak level 3 warlocks. Such strength could be rated as terrifying. Level 1 warlocks were basically unable to contend against them. Yang Feng said with a confident smile, "I have my own ways to deal with them. Moreover, I'm fully confident that I can obtain this time's Warlock Convention's #1. Angelina stared at Yang Feng for a good while, then said with a sweet smile, "Since you're so confident, then I won't say anything more. However, if you want to open a bet, then a single bet isn't conducive to attracting funds. I think that you should open a few more bets, such as Cookson taking first place, Kashmir taking first place, and so on. With a few more bets, there'll be more people placing bets. Yang Feng's eyes lit up and he said with a smile, "That's right, you're right. As for the specifics, you can discuss it with my secret method Eunice." The most capable person under Yang Feng's command was Eunice. She was responsible for handling all kinds of daily affairs, managing all kinds of affairs of Yang Feng's forces in an orderly manner. Yang Feng also trusted her a lot. Shi Shui was a cultivation genius. She wasn't interested in handling all kinds of daily affairs. Eunice said with a sweet smile, "Angelina Darren, let's discuss the specifics." The two very cunning women opposed each other with equal harshness. They carried out a fierce debate and slowly settled on a series of details. Not long after, an organization quickly appeared in St. Rose City, and in the name of Steel City, they opened a betting account with huge odds. The Warlock Convention held by Rose Garden attracted countless warlock geniuses to gather here. Additionally, there were also a large number of merchants and the leaders of some small and medium-sized warlock groups. Those people had a lot of magic stones. After they saw the bets opened by Steel City, they placed heavy bets on the warlock geniuses that they were optimistic about. In just 2 days, Yang Feng received bets of more than 110 million magic stones, with the majority of the bets being placed on Yang Feng being unable to obtain the first place in the Warlock Convention. 3 days later, Rose Garden finally let those warlock geniuses from Tyrannid subcontinent enter Rose Garden. In St. Rose City's bustling areas, magic screens were turned on, broadcasting this grand occasion live. Rose Garden's Warlock Convention was held once every few years. At the same time, the battles of those warlock geniuses would be broadcasted live. This was also the grand ceremony that St. Rose City's people were most looking forward to. Rose Garden's new city, within the Rose Garden Grand Arena, the huge arena that could accommodate 200,000 people was already filled with human warlocks from all over the world. At one end of the huge arena, there was a small dais suspended in the air, above which sat the experts of the 6 great warlock groups. In Tyrannid subcontinent, the 6 great warlock groups were aloof. They controlled everything. Their status was far above that of the other warlock groups. This was a fact that everyone acknowledged. In various world-class occasions, there were various ways to demonstrate the status of the 6 great warlock groups. Chapter 148. At the top of the small dais sat 3 peerless beauties of peerless style. They were so beautiful that people couldn't shift their gazes away from them. The 3 peerless beauties of peerless style were Rose Garden's 3 great warlocks, Storm Rose Clarissa, Flame Rose Cordelia, and Saint Rose Carolina. Flame Rose Cordelia had a head full of gorgeous long red hair, snow-white skin, and a sexy and fiery figure. She wore a fiery red warlock's chongpao. She was like a beautiful burning flame, enough to melt any man. Saint Rose Carolina had a head full of dazzling short golden hair, a slim waist, and a perky buttocks. She wore a snow-white warlock's chongpao. She exuded a holy and noble aura from head to toe. She was like an aloof and incomparably holy goddess that controlled everything. Among Rose Garden's 3 great warlocks, Saint Rose Carolina was the strongest. She was also the peerless expert closest to the Starry Sky warlock rank in Tyrannid subcontinent. She didn't lose to any man in the slightest. Clarissa and the other 2 women were also known as Tyrannid subcontinent's 3 most dazzling roses. Their names had spread throughout Tyrannid subcontinent, and countless people were filled with admiration towards them. Among the other 5 great warlock groups, there were also many great warlocks who adored them, but no one was able to obtain their favor. Below Clarissa and the other 2 women sat a person. It was precisely Dephilia. In Tyrannid subcontinent, only great warlock rank experts could sit together with the peak warlocks of the 6 great warlock groups. This was the privilege of all great warlocks. Below Dephilia sat Warlock College Antalya and the other 4 representatives of the 5 great warlock groups. The representatives of Warlock College Antalya and the other 4 great warlock groups were all level 3 warlocks. There wasn't a single great warlock rank expert. Currently, It was a crucial time in the Holy War between the humans and the Underworld's allied forces. Every force's great warlock rank experts were very precious. They naturally couldn't be dispatched lightly. White Elephant's Ivory's representative Ulrich looked coldly at Dephilia and said coldly, "Your Holiness Snow White Madam, 3 days ago, you killed White Elephant's Ivory's genius Raimont. Shouldn't you give White Elephant's Ivory an explanation?" Dephilia's gaze was ice cold, her eyes flashed with killing intent, and great warlock rank life force pervaded her body. She said frigidly, "Your White Ivory's genius Raimont not only violated the rules of the competition, but also dared to attack me. So what if I casually killed him? An ant-like level 3 warlock like you dares to talk to me like that. Do you want to become a corpse and be sent back to White Elephant's Ivory?" Black Dragon Tower's representative Anusha said with a smile, "That's right, your White Elephant's Ivory's genius actually dared to take the initiative to attack Snow White Madam. This is courting death, you can't blame others." Warlock College Antalia's mortal enemy was Savage Claw, White Ivory's mortal enemy was Black Dragon Tower, and Rose Garden's mortal enemy was Eyes of Justice. The people of White Elephant's Ivory would suffer a calamity, but the people of Black Dragon Pagoda would definitely be happy to see it happen. Ulrich bowed deeply towards Carolina and said respectfully with a hint of threat, "Your Holiness St. Rose, our White Elephant's Ivory's genius died tragically in St. Rose City. The murderer is right in front of your eyes. Don't you want to punish the murderer? If your Holiness were to ignore the murderer's wanton rampage, then I'm afraid that it would affect the friendship between our two families. I was the one who killed him. If you want to deal with someone, then deal with Steel City. As for you, to provoke a great warlock again and again, then I'll grant you eternal death." Dephilia's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of a cold glint, and her great warlock rank life force instantly erupted. She pointed with her lily-white hand, and a white stream of cold air shot towards Ulrich. Ulrich was both startled and furious, and his body at once flickered with magical radiances in an attempt to resist the white stream of cold air. But all of the spells on his body were completely suppressed by the white stream of cold air, and were basically unable to be released. In just a split second, he felt an ice-cold force pervading his body, destroying all of his vitality. A voice brimming with magnetism and majesty spat out from Carolina's cherry lips, and an incomparably pure and holy radiance blossomed from her lily-white hand, before falling on Ulrich. Under the illumination of that incomparably pure and holy radiance, the cold air released by Dephilia was directly melted. Ulrich only felt his body warm up, his body brimming with strength, and he regained his senses. He stared fixedly at Dephilia, and his heart brimmed with anger. Such a vicious woman, to actually dare to attack here. This is Rose Garden, I don't care about the grudges between you. After leaving Rose Garden, how you fight is up to you. Since you're in Rose Garden, then you must abide by Rose Garden's rules." Raimont took the initiative to attack Snow White Madam, and Snow White Madam retaliated, killing him. This was considered self-defense, and I won't punish her. However, Your Holiness Snow White Madam, if you attack someone else for no reason, then I'll have no choice but to punish you. Carolina stared at Dephilia with a gaze brimming with dignity. Dephilia's heart shivered slightly, and she responded respectfully, "Yes. Your Holiness St. Rose will respectfully comply with your decree." Through this incomparably obscure exchange, Dephilia already understood that Carolina's strength was far above hers. There were strong and weak great warlock rank experts, and Dephilia's strength was considered to be in the middle of the great warlock rank. After all, she was only a little over 180 years old, and was very young. But Carolina was definitely at the pinnacle of the great warlock rank, and was infinitely close to the Starry Sky warlock rank. Ulrich could only clench his teeth and swallow his resentment. "Yes, Your Holiness St. Rose, I will respectfully comply with your decree." When the other representatives of the 6 great warlock groups saw this scene, their eyes revealed glints of schadenfreude, but they still remained well-behaved and didn't say anything. Although the 6 great warlock groups had joined hands to establish Tyrannid Subcontinent's order, but they still struggled for power and profit among themselves. Quite a few forces were still mortal enemies with each other. They were happy to see Ulrich being taught a lesson. With a light leap, the presenter jumped to the center of the grand arena, and then delivered an impassioned speech that stirred up the mood of the entire grand arena. After stirring up the atmosphere in the grand arena, he said with extreme passion, "Now, the first battle officially begins. The two sides are respectively Savage Claw's peerless genius Cuxin and Steel City's genius Yang Feng. Cuxin, kill him. Kill Yang Feng. Get rid of that waste Yang Feng." Earth-shaking cheers came from the surroundings of the arena. The majority of the audience was cheering for Cuxin. Cuxin was a peerless genius of Savage Claw's younger generation. He had already been famous for 6 to 7 years, and was publicly recognized as one of the strongest level 2 warlocks. He was also one of the hot favorites to win the Warlock Convention. Yang Feng was merely a good-for-nothing earthling with an inferior level 1 soul aptitude. Even if he promoted to a level 1 warlock, but no one was optimistic about him. With a light leap, Cuxin flew to the center of the grand arena, gave a sunny smile, and waved his hand towards the surrounding audience. Many young ladies saw the incomparably handsome Cuxin and issued excited screams. They unceasingly threw coquettish glances at him and shouted his name with extreme enthusiasm. Yang Feng's figure shook. He also flew to the center of the grand arena and stood opposite of Cuxin. Cuxin swept Yang Feng with a glance and said with a cold smile, "Yang Feng, I'm very surprised at your stupidity. Do you think that you can challenge me with your trifling strength of a level 1 warlock? In this arena, even Snow White Madam won't be able to protect you. If you flee now, it's not too late. Otherwise, spells have no eyes, and dying in this arena will be your only fate." Yang Feng didn't even give Cuxin a glance. He turned around and looked towards the contestants' seating area. Warlock College Antalia's Kashmir, Eyes of Justice's Halden, Black Dragon Pagoda's Nalei, White Ivory's Bagley, Rose Garden's Dietrich, the newly risen Southwest Tiger Lachi, Northern Lion Cobham, Southern Goddess of War Jenny, one after another geniuses from Tyrandot subcontinent's younger generation fell into his eyes. Those world-famous geniuses of the younger generation were indeed dragons and phoenixes among men, possessing formidable strength comparable to that of a level 2 warlock. If he didn't use any treasures, then Yang Feng definitely wouldn't be their match. Those young warlock geniuses were swept by Yang Feng's gaze. Unruly, provocative, curious, and other complicated gazes were concentrated on him. Yang Feng held his hands behind his back and sighed faintly, "Cuxin, you're too weak, you're not my match." Cuxin's face suddenly twitched, his eyes flashed with a touch of anger. He was a formidable existence of a pinnacle level 2 warlock. Moreover, he had many fortuitous encounters, he had a lot of precious and formidable secret treasures on him, even an ordinary level 3 warlock might not be his match. Yang Feng was a trifling level 1 warlock, he basically didn't care about him. Now that Yang Feng said that he was too weak, it filled his heart with endless anger. Yang Feng turned to look at Carolina on the small dais and said lightly, "Your Holiness St. Rose, I just had a look. This time's Warlock Convention's geniuses are too weak, not a single one of them is a match for me. Please allow them to come up and fight me, I'm somewhat impatient, I want to try the miraculous effects of Rose Divine Pool's cultivation." He has quite a big tone. Who does he think he is? Who does he think he is? He actually wants to challenge all the geniuses, he's simply overestimating himself. Yang Feng, this good-for-nothing, he's just a trifling level 1 warlock. I'm afraid that he can't even compare to Cuxin, yet he still wants to challenge all the young geniuses of the Warlock Convention. Does he want to die? In the Warlock Convention, there has never been a genius who dared to challenge so many geniuses of the same rank. He's either a madman or a super genius with absolute confidence in himself. After hearing Yang Feng's words, the atmosphere in the grand arena was ignited, everyone discussed spiritedly. Many people looked at Yang Feng as if they were looking at a madman. There were also some people who were brimming with expectations towards Yang Feng. Chapter 149. When Cuxin saw this scene, he was so angry that his whole body trembled. His eyes spurted endless fury and killing intent surged within him. Lachi's eyes flashed with a fierce glint. He licked his lips and killing intent flashed past his eyes. What a big tone. This Yang Feng is really crazy interesting. Kashmir snorted coldly and said disdainfully, a guy trying to please the crowd with claptrap. Cobham's eyes flashed with a touch of a pondering glint. He wasn't the slightest bit angry and smiled slightly. Interesting, Steel City's sole successor? I'm looking forward to seeing what trump cards you have. The blonde, slender and extremely beautiful Dietrich creased her eyebrows and mused. He wants to challenge all of us? How is that possible? Even Tyrannid subcontinent's most outstanding geniuses wouldn't be able to challenge so many geniuses of the same rank. Furthermore, he only has the strength of a level 1 warlock. However, he doesn't look like an idiot, so how could he be so arrogant? Jenny glared coldly at Yang Feng, as if she was looking at a corpse. Such an arrogant idiot. Wait until my spear runs through your body, then you'll know the disparity between us, you good for nothing. Some of the warlock geniuses who were ridiculed and provoked by Yang Feng glared angrily at him, while others were very calm, watching everything with cold eyes. When she heard Yang Feng's request, Carolina, who was sitting upright on the dais, was also slightly tempted. In so many years, it was the first time that someone so domineeringly wanted to challenge all the warlock geniuses by himself. Such a person was either a lunatic or a super genius. She had watched the Warlock Convention for many years. The unchanging Warlock Convention also made her feel a trace of aesthetic fatigue. Cordelia suddenly said with a sweet smile, Big Sister Carolina, since Yang Feng wants to challenge the other Warlock geniuses, then he must have his own trump cards. It would be better for us to agree to his request. In any case, the Warlock Convention's objective is to select Tyrannid subcontinent's most outstanding young geniuses. If he can defeat all the geniuses, then he'll be Tyrannid subcontinent's #1 genius in name and in reality. Moreover, he might even be the strongest young genius in Tyrannid subcontinent's history. When Dephilia heard this, her face slightly twitched. She cursed in her heart. He is not the strongest young genius in Tyrannid subcontinent, but a despicable and shameless thief. Carolina smiled meaningfully and said, Since that's the case, I'll make an exception and agree to your request. Yang Feng, only those who have accepted your challenge, can you fight them at the same time. However, I believe that none of the geniuses here will reject your challenge. Thank you, Your Majesty. Yang Feng bowed slightly in salute towards Carolina, then turned to look at the warlock geniuses from all over Tyrannid subcontinent. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a confident smile. The Steel City's Yang Feng, challenge all of you. Do you dare to fight with me? Those who don't dare to fight me are all cowards. As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar below. Kill him. Go and kill him. All of you hurry up and get rid of that waste Yang Feng. Kill him. In the spectator stands of the grand arena, earth-shattering roars erupted. The countless spectators who had bet heavily on Yang Feng's defeat issued loud shouts. They were very much looking forward to the scene of Yang Feng being killed in the ring. Yang Feng, you're too stupid. No matter how many trump cards you have, my spear will run through your body and make you regret your stupidity. Southern Goddess of War Jenny, dressed in a black secret treasure armor and holding a pitch-black spear, lightly jumped to the center of the grand arena. She stared at Yang Feng, her beautiful eyes brimming with a cold glint, as if a female leopard preparing to hunt, and said icily. Kashmir jumped to the center of the grand arena, erupted with a terrifying life force comparable to that of a level 2 warlock, and said while stressing each syllable, Yang Feng, a waste is a waste. Even if your uncle used countless resources to push you to the level 1 warlock rank, but you're still essentially a waste. I don't need anyone's help, I alone can get rid of a waste like you. Ever since Yang Feng sent the corpse of Bloodhands Blitz's nephew back to Warlock College Antalya, the relationship between Steel City and Warlock College Antalya took a sharp turn for the worse. Although on the surface, both sides still didn't shed all pretenses of cordiality, but in fact, both sides regarded the other as a great enemy. Lachi's figure shook, and he flew to the grand arena. He looked coldly at Yang Feng, and didn't say a word. Cobham sighed somewhat regretfully. It's a pity. Yang Feng, I actually wanted to have a fair fight with you. But now it seems that there's no such opportunity. However, it's not my style to fight with numbers. I won't act against you while you're fighting them. Dietrich also flew to the center of the grand arena and silently stood to one side, quietly observing Yang Feng, who stood loftily in front of the countless geniuses with his hands behind his back. The geniuses of Tyrannid subcontinent's younger generations successively flew to the arena. Soon, more than 100 geniuses gathered on the arena. The more than 100 geniuses on the arena came from all over Tyrannid subcontinent. Each of them was the pride of their warlock group, and all of them possessed the cultivation base of a level 2 warlock. In terms of real ability, each of them was much stronger than Yang Feng. The geniuses here, even the weakest one, had battle prowess comparable to that of a pinnacle level 2 warlock. Rose Garden's Warlock Convention, although only level 1 warlock experts could participate as long as they were under the age of 50. However, everyone was very clear that only level 2 warlock rank experts could shine brilliantly in this assembly. In the previous warlock conventions held by Rose Garden, there had never been a level 1 warlock who had the strength of a single level 1 warlock. The more than 100 geniuses from all over Tyrannid subcontinent were very proud. They stood scattered, with sneers on their faces. They coldly looked at Yang Feng, and their eyes flashed with a touch of disdain. Very good, everyone's here. Yang Feng saw the more than 100 warlock geniuses from all over Tyrannid subcontinent come onto the arena, and revealed a trace of a smile. I'll let you see what I'm capable of. Finished speaking, Yang Feng pressed the dimensional crest on his chest. With a flash of radiance, the Moffin demonic polar bear immediately appeared before everyone's eyes. Moffin demonic polar bear. A great warlock rank extraordinary life form. That's a Moffin demonic polar bear. A great warlock rank extraordinary life form, how can he command it? Seeing the Moffin demonic polar bear appear, the entire grand arena went into an uproar. Countless spectators were shocked and discussed spiritedly. The more than 100 geniuses from all over Tyrannid subcontinent also had their complexions turn extremely unsightly. The Moffin demonic polar bear was a great warlock rank extraordinary life form. Although it couldn't compare to a terrifying existence like a dragon, but it was still a relatively formidable existence among great warlock rank extraordinary life forms. Even if the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrannid subcontinent joined forces, they still wouldn't be a match for a Moffin demonic polar bear. Cookson swept with his tremendous spirit force, and immediately sneered, "There's no aura of life, it's just the corpse of a Moffin demonic polar bear." Extremely formidable spirit force swept the Moffin demonic polar bear's body, and only after discovering no fluctuations of life force did he heave a slight sigh of relief. There's no aura of life or fluctuations of power, that's because it's an alchemical golem. Furthermore, it's an alchemical golem that needs to be manually operated. Yang Feng gave a slight smile, his figure shook, and he directly jumped onto the Moffin demonic polar bear's chest. He exerted force, a cockpit opened, and then jumped inside. Less than 2 seconds after Yang Feng entered the cockpit, the originally deathly still Moffin demonic polar bear's eyes blossomed with traces of red light. Shortly after, terrifying great warlock rank fluctuations of power spread from the Moffin demonic polar bear's body. The Moffin demonic polar bear at once stood on its hind legs, its eyes flickered with an incomparably ominous glint, and it firmly stared at the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrannid subcontinent. "Now, who dares to fight me?" Yang Feng sat in the Moffin demonic polar bear's cockpit, overlooking the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrannid subcontinent. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, and he said extremely domineeringly. The complexions of the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrannid subcontinent were very unsightly, and none of them uttered a sound. They weren't fools, great warlock rank extraordinary life forms were really too terrifying. Even if all of them attacked together, they would only be throwing away their lives in vain. Shameless. On the dais, Dephilia's eyes revealed a trace of a smile, and she said in a low voice. Carolina's pretty face twitched slightly, she hadn't thought that such a scene would occur. A great warlock rank extraordinary life form, even the weakest great warlock rank extraordinary life form, wasn't in existence that the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrandot subcontinent could contend against. Cordelia said with a sweet smile. Interesting, Steel City Master's alchemy is really amazing, to actually be able to refine great warlock rank manually operated golems. According to the legends, he obtained the inheritance of the 6th warlock dynasty. I didn't believe it at first, but now it seems that there's indeed a bit of a possibility. I'm ready, now let's begin. Under Yangfeng's control, the Moffin demonic polar bear extended its index finger and beckoned towards the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrandot subcontinent, before saying in an extremely arrogant and provocative manner, I concede, great warlock rank extraordinary life forms aren't existences that I can contend against. Yang Feng, I look forward to having a fair fight with you next time. Kabum gave a straightforward smile. After leaving behind a few words, his figure shook, and he jumped down from the grand arena. Chapter 150. Cooksen's complexion was very unsightly. He snorted coldly and goaded, Humph, just relying on the power of golems, what kind of skill is that? If you have the skill, then fight me without golems. That's right, if you have the skill, then don't use golems. If you can defeat me without using a puppet, then I will wholeheartedly accept my defeat. Using the power of golems, what kind of skill is that? If you have the skill, then fight us with your own strength. The more than 100 Tyrandot subcontinent's geniuses were impassioned as they denounced Yang Feng. Oh. Yang Feng gave a cold smile and pressed a button. In a flash, the Moffin demonic polar bear erupted with an incomparably terrifying life force. It faced the sky and issued a world-shaking howl. The incomparably terrifying howl turned into incomparably sharp ultrasonic waves, bombarding the warlock geniuses who were clamoring the loudest. The dozens of warlock geniuses spouted a large mouthful of blood. They staggered and fell to the ground, their bodies trembling. The rest of the warlock geniuses also erupted with an incomparably formidable life force in a split second. The power of their whole body surged, resisting the Moffin demonic polar bear's howl. After a minute, the Moffin demonic polar bear stopped howling. In the center of the grand arena, half of the more than 100 Tyrandot subcontinent's geniuses were already paralyzed. This was the terror of a great warlock rank extraordinary life form. Yang Feng looked at the fallen Tyrandot subcontinent's geniuses and said with a cold smile, You bunch of idiots. Equipment is also a part of a warlock's strength. Which one of you doesn't have a formidable secret treasure to protect yourself? Without secret treasures, your battle prowess will be weakened by at least half. When he said that, the complexions of the Tyrandot subcontinent's geniuses became somewhat unsightly. A warlock's battle prowess mainly depended on his cultivation base, as well as the number of spell models he had mastered, and what kind of secret treasures he had. Secret treasures were also very important for warlocks, just like their weapons. Level 2 warlocks like Cooksen and Jenny were known to be able to fight level 3 warlocks because they had formidable secret treasures. If they didn't have secret treasures, then if they encountered a level 3 warlock, even if it was the weakest level 3 warlock, they still wouldn't be the other party's match. The reason why Tyrandot subcontinent's 6 great warlock groups' great warlocks were far superior to other forces' great warlocks was because they possessed many mystical legend rank secret treasures and even semi-divine rank secret treasures. Yang Feng continued to ridicule, I'm a warlock alchemist. Warlock alchemists fight by manipulating battle golems. Don't you have any common sense? The warlock geniuses were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood. For an ordinary level 1 alchemist to be able to refine a level 1 alchemy puppet would already be an amazing genius. The Moffin demonic polar bear that Yang Feng was currently piloting was a great warlock rank alchemical golem. Even a great warlock rank alchemist would find it extremely difficult to refine an alchemical golem of this rank. Yang Feng piloting the Moffin demonic polar bear golem was simply like an adult bullying a kindergartner, crushing those warlock geniuses without any pressure. Yang Feng said lightly, All right, I don't want to waste time, so I'll give you 10 seconds to prepare. If you want to fight me, then stay here. If you don't dare to fight me, then concede defeat. I concede defeat. I concede defeat. The warlock geniuses gnashed their teeth, their complexions ashen as they jumped down from the grand arena. Even Cookson, Jenny and Kashmir, whose battle intent was the most exuberant, had ashen complexions as they helplessly jumped down from the grand arena. Only Yang Feng was left in the grand arena. After seeing that there was no one else in the grand arena, Yang Feng lightly jumped down from the Moffin demonic polar bear's cockpit. With his hands behind his back, he stood in the middle of the grand arena and sighed in disappointment. Invincible, it's really lonely. The complexions of the more than 100 warlock geniuses from all over Tyrandot subcontinent were ashen, as if they had been ruthlessly slapped in the face. They almost wanted to spit blood. They wished that they could go up and ruthlessly beat Yang Feng, but they were very clear that they weren't the Moffin demonic polar bear's match. Going up would only be courting death. Carolina's face twitched. She didn't think that Yang Feng would so easily become the Warlock Convention's #1. Furthermore, his words were asking for a beating. Interesting. Clarissa revealed a trace of a smile. Dephilia also revealed a trace of a smile. This guy is really cunning. Shameless. If you have the guts, then don't use the alchemical golem. Relying on the alchemical golem to bully others, what kind of skill is that? Earth-shattering boos and cheers came from the spectator seats. In the previous warlock conventions, young warlocks fought fiercely and brilliantly, displaying all kinds of wonderful battle scenes. Countless geniuses went through bitter battles before reaching the summit and becoming the warlock convention's #1. Now that Yang Feng revealed the Moffin demonic polar bear, he directly crushed them with his absolutely terrifying strength, forcing the more than 100 Tyrandot subcontinent's warlock geniuses to not dare to fight him, making the spectators who had bet on him to lose extremely furious. Yang Feng was very thick-skinned. Facing the earth-shattering boos and cheers, he only gave an indifferent smile and asked the referee, "Everyone has voluntarily conceded, I should be the winner." The referee gave Yang Feng a strange look and said loudly, "Since all the challengers have voluntarily conceded, I now announce that Yang Feng is the winner. He will automatically become the Warlock Convention's #1. Countless earth-shattering boos and cheers once again came from the spectator seats. Silence. Carolina's dignified voice reverberated in the grand arena, suppressing the chaotic cheers in the grand arena. Carolina said full of dignity, "Yang Feng can make the others voluntarily concede, that's because he's strong enough. Even if he used the alchemical golem, to be able to control the great warlock rank alchemical golem, that proves that he's strong enough. Equipment is also a part of one's strength." After listening to Carolina's words, the boos and cheers in the grand arena stopped. But their eyes still flickered with ill intent as they looked at Yang Feng. Yang Feng turned around and stared at Carolina with a scorching gaze, saying, "Your Holiness Saint Rose, now that I'm the Warlock Convention's #1, can I enter the Rose Divine Pool to practice cultivation?" Entering the Rose Divine Pool to practice cultivation, that was Yang Feng's purpose for coming to Rose Garden. Only by entering the Rose Divine Pool to practice cultivation could Yang Feng break through the bottleneck in a short period of time and promote to a level 2 warlock. The higher the warlock's cultivation base, the stronger Yang Feng's life-saving ability, and the more difficult it would be to kill him. Carolina said lightly, I'll arrange for you to enter the Rose Divine Pool to practice cultivation." Wait. Cordelia suddenly interrupted, "Big Sister Carolina, the Warlock Convention's top 3 still haven't been decided. Even if Yang Feng is recognized as the #1 expert, there's still the 2nd and 3rd experts yet to be decided. How about we wait until the 2nd and 3rd experts are decided?" Carolina's eyebrows creased slightly, revealing a trace of hesitation. What's so difficult about the 2nd and 3rd experts being decided? This time's Warlock Convention's 2nd expert is Steel City's Shi Shui. Yang Feng laughed out loud, his figure shook, and he jumped down from the grand arena. Shi Shui's figure shook slightly, she appeared in the center of the grand arena, and under everyone's gazes, she entered the Moffin demonic polar bear's cockpit. The Moffin demonic polar bear immediately stood up. A formidable great warlock rank life force immediately spread from its body and spread in all directions. "Who dares to come up and fight me? I guarantee that I won't leave you with an intact corpse." Shue's tender and overbearing voice came from the Moffin demonic polar bear's bloody maw. Below the arena, the complexions of the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrandot subcontinent were ashen, their eyes brimming with despair and anger. Yang Feng had used the Moffin demonic polar bear to suppress these warlock geniuses to the point that they didn't have the strength to fight back. Now, what was even more hateful was that Yang Feng clearly still wanted to use the Moffin demonic polar bear for others to use and continue to bully these Tyrandot subcontinent's geniuses. It seems that there aren't any. What a bunch of good-for-nothings. Carolina Darren, since no one dares to fight me, then I should be able to directly become the Warlock Convention's second place, right? Shue's somewhat regretful voice came from within the Moffin demonic polar bear. Carolina swept the Moffin demonic polar bear with a glance, her face once again twitched, and her gaze swept towards the Tyrandot subcontinent's genius warlocks. None of the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrandot subcontinent had any intention of fighting Shue. With their current strength, fighting a great warlock rank alchemical golem was practically equivalent to throwing away their lives in vain. Cookson looked straight at Carolina and said in a loud voice, "Your Holiness Saint Rose, Yang Feng has already used the alchemical golem to win once, and now he's using the alchemical golem to humiliate us. Could it be that this warlock convention is just a joke?" Carolina's eyebrows arched and she remained silent. Yang Feng sneered and said in ridicule, "What a joke! The so-called alchemical golem is also a kind of secret treasure recognized in the world of warlocks. In battle, loaning secret treasures is very common. If you have the ability, then go find a great warlock rank alchemical golem to fight with us. Or do you, Cookson, dare to swear on your soul that you've never used a secret treasure to fight?" Cookson's eyes spewed fire as he said one word at a time, "Sophistry." Yang Feng ridiculed, "You good for nothing, since you don't dare to fight in the grand arena, then don't stay here and make a fool of yourself. If you have the guts, then go and fight with her." Cookson's eyes flickered with an ominous glint and he said coldly, "Yang Feng, you good for nothing if you have the guts, then don't use a mechanical golem, let's have a fair fight." Yang Feng laughed loudly and said, "Ha, I'm a warlock alchemist. You want a warlock alchemist to fight without using his alchemical items? Isn't that ridiculous? How about this? As long as you abolish the level 2 innate spell model solidified in your spirit sea, then I'll have a fair fight with you. Both of us are level 1 warlocks, only then can it be considered fair. Do you dare?" "Absolutely not," Cookson said resolutely. Once the innate spell model solidified in his spirit sea was abolished, then Cookson himself would suffer a huge blow and might not be able to promote to a level 2 warlock for the rest of his life. If his luck was bad, then he might even become a cripple. Cookson said coldly, "I was able to promote to a level 2 warlock because of my own ability. If you have the ability, then go and promote to a level 2 warlock as well." Yang Feng sneered, "I have a great warlock rank alchemical golem because of my own ability. If you have the ability, then go and get a great warlock rank alchemical golem. If you don't have the ability, then scram, good for nothing." "Enough." Carolina's dignified voice reverberated in the grand arena, suppressing everyone's voices. Yang Feng smiled slightly and transmitted his voice. "Your Holiness Saint Rose, if you can let me monopolize the top 3 places in this warlock convention, then after this warlock convention, I can gift you with 2,000 alchemical golems with battle prowess comparable to level 2 warlocks." Carolina's beautiful eyes flashed slightly with a touch of a peculiar glint. She was silent for a moment, then swept Cookson with her gaze and said coldly, "Cookson, if you're dissatisfied, then go and challenge Shue. If you defeat her, then you'll be the second person in this warlock convention. If you don't dare to go, then keep your mouth shut." Cookson swept the Moffin demonic polar bear in the center of the grand arena. His gaze flickered a few times, he clenched his fists, gnashed his teeth, hung his head and retreated. "Is there anyone else who dares to come and fight me?" Shue's incomparably overbearing voice came from the Moffin demonic polar bear. "I will fight you. I want to see what skill Steel City has." The eyes of a young level 2 warlock flickered with sparks of anger. He gave a shrill howl, his figure shook and he directly appeared in the center of the grand arena. The referee heaved a sigh of relief and immediately announced, "Now, I declare that the match officially begins." Boulder burst. Shui manipulated the Moffin demonic polar bear to cast a level 4 spell at once. An incomparably terrifying magic fluctuation erupted and countless incomparably sharp boulders madly stabbed towards Ike from all directions. Ike's body at once erupted with 2 defensive magic radiances and 2 formidable magic force fields revolved around him. In the next moment, the incomparably sharp boulders easily pierced through Ike's defensive magic, crushing him into countless fragments and splattering blood everywhere. Seeing Ike being insta-killed by Shui, the eyes of those genius warlocks from Tyrandot's subcontinent revealed traces of dread. Ike was also a level 2 warlock. He was an extremely powerful genius. Such a genius couldn't even withstand a single move from the Moffin demonic polar bear. This made those geniuses deeply feel the disparity in strength between them and great warlock rank experts. Chapter 151. Shui's incomparably domineering voice came from the center of the grand arena. "Next, who dares to come up?" The more than 100 geniuses from Tyrandot's subcontinent looked at each other in dismay, remaining silent. They weren't fools, moreover, they cherished their lives very much. Naturally, they wouldn't rashly enter the ring to throw away their lives. The referee waited for a good while, before saying with a slight smile, "Since no one dares to come up, then Shui will be the victor of this competition, becoming the second place of this warlock convention." Shui gave a sweet smile, jumped out of the Moffin demonic polar bear's cockpit, her figure shook, and she arrived next to Yang Feng. "I'm Steel City's Eunice, who dares to fight me?" Eunice's figure shook, and she directly flew above the Moffin demonic polar bear's cockpit. She looked at the more than 100 geniuses from Tyrandot's subcontinent with a merry smile, and took the initiative to provoke them. Wasn't this giving them a way out? Could they still have fun happily? The more than 100 geniuses from Tyrandot's subcontinent had ashen complexions as they looked at the Moffin demonic polar bear beneath Eunice's feet. Countless curses ran through their minds, and they were so depressed that they wanted to cry. The Warlock Convention held by Rose Garden had always been an arena for Tyrandot's subcontinent's young warlock geniuses to display their strength and desperately compete for the 3 cultivation spots in the Rose Divine Pool. It had always been an arena for Tyrandot's subcontinent's young warlock geniuses to fight fiercely and display their strength. Now, Yangfeng Steel City had directly monopolized the first 3 spots, making Tyrandot's subcontinent's geniuses so depressed that they wanted to spit blood. When Carolina saw this scene, her face once again twitched slightly, and she almost wanted to slap Yang Feng and these people from Steel City. But when she thought of Yang Feng's promise of 2,000 level 2 warlock rank alchemical golems, she suppressed her anger. If it was during peacetime, then Carolina wouldn't care about 2,000 level 2 warlock rank alchemical golems. But now it was a chaotic period, and 2,000 level 2 warlock rank alchemical golems were also an important fighting force. Especially in a large-scale war, Steel City's alchemical golems had already displayed sufficiently formidable battle prowess. Naturally, she was tempted. Apart from this, the most important thing was that Steel City not only had Snow White Madam, a great warlock rank expert, but could also refine great warlock rank alchemical golems at the same time. Such a force with formidable potential, in this special period of time, Carolina didn't want to offend it. It was because of the formidable strength displayed by Yangfeng Steel City that Carolina had no choice but to choose to tolerate Yang Feng and his party to a certain extent. This was the benefit of having a strong background. The referee was silent for a moment, then looked at the warlock geniuses below. He saw that the warlock geniuses had ashen complexions, yet they didn't dare to step forward. He could only announce, "Since no one dares to step forward, then the 3rd place of this warlock convention is Steel City's Eunice." Eunice gave a sweet smile and directly stored the Moffin demonic polar bear into her dimensional crest. Her figure shook, she arrived beside Yang Feng, released the Moffin demonic polar bear and placed it beside Yang Feng. The Moffin demonic polar bear alchemical golem could completely deter the petty disciples, making them not dare to act blindly without thinking. Since the top 3 have been decided, then I'll open the Rose Divine Pool and let the 3 of you practice cultivation inside. After Yang Feng's disturbance, Carolina lost interest in the Warlock Convention. She swept Yang Feng's group of 3 with a glance and said faintly. All of a sudden, Cordelia waved her lily-white hand, and a cloud of pink mist suddenly burst out and hit Carolina and Clarissa. Cordelia's figure retreated briskly, her lily-white hand condensed a rose seal and fiercely pressed it on Dephilia's back. Dephilia was caught off guard and immediately spat out a big mouthful of blood. She was catapulted from her seat, leaving behind a trail of blood as she fell to the ground and fiercely hit the ground, blasting open a big hole. Clouds of ice force diffused from the big hole and condensed into an extremely pure ice cube, sealing Dephilia within it. The legend-rank secret treasure ice snowbox appeared in her bosom and released an extremely formidable ice force to seal her in ice. After succeeding in her attack, Cordelia quickly drifted back, flicked her fingers, and a pink radiance shot towards Yang Feng in a flash. Yang Feng's complexion changed greatly. Under the great warlock-rank spirit pressure, he couldn't budge. Just as the pink magic radiance was about to hit Yang Feng, an extremely azure radiance suddenly surged from his neck and turned into an azure light curtain that enveloped him. As soon as the azure light curtain appeared, the great warlock-rank spirit pressure was blocked by the azure light curtain. The pink magic radiance bombarded the azure light curtain, setting off ripples on the azure light curtain. The level 4 spell Sky Flower Water Curtain. Cordelia's pretty complexion changed slightly. Yang Feng seized the opportunity to pull Shui and her party and jumped into the Moffin demonic polar bear's cockpit before entering it. The interior of the Moffin demonic polar bear had already been modified by using dimensional technology. The cockpit seemed to be very small, but in fact, it was a vast space of 30 by 50 by 50 cubic meters. Cordelia's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of a cold glint. She pointed with her lily-white hand and unleashed the level 4 spell Rose Killing Finger. A pink rose suddenly shot out and blasted towards the Moffin demonic polar bear. The Moffin demonic polar bear's body only leaned to the side, before its head was immediately hit by the pink rose. With a boom, its head was blasted several tens of meters away and countless parts splashed in all directions. The Moffin demonic polar bear swayed for a moment and then collapsed on the ground. A large amount of blood as well as several dismembered corpses flowed out of the broken cockpit. Inside the ice cube, Dephilia's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of doubt. How is this possible? The Moffin demonic polar bear was the little thief's mount. How could it be so easily destroyed? It was so easily killed? Compared to the genuine Moffin demonic polar bear, it's really lacking. It seems that Steel City's alchemical golems are only SOSO. Cordelia's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of doubt. She swept the corpses with a glance and then continued to scan the Moffin demonic polar bear with her tremendous spirit force. Only after she didn't discover the slightest aura of life did her doubts disappear. Clouds of pink mist sprayed from all directions in the grand arena, as if it had a life of its own, pervading the grand arena. The warlocks in the grand arena were sprayed by the pink mist, before falling to the ground one by one, unable to budge. Carolina's complexion was ashen. Roses blossoming with sacred radiance flickered beside her. She growled full of grief and anger. Why? Cordelia, why did you plot against us? Clarissa also stared fixedly at Cordelia, her beautiful eyes brimming with incredulity and grief. She asked, Why, big sister Cordelia, why did you plot against us? Of course it's for the throne of Rose Garden's master. Cordelia's beautiful eyes surged with a touch of carefreeness. The depressed feelings that had accumulated in her heart for hundreds of years, the corners of her mouth rose slightly, and she said faintly, Rose Garden's master, controlling the destinies of billions of people in Rose Garden, countless resources, what an enviable position. This position should have belonged to me. Cordelia's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of nostalgia, and she said faintly, Little sister Carolina, before you joined Rose Garden, Cordelia, was Rose Garden's #1 genius, and the most beautiful woman of the younger generation in the entire Tyrannid subcontinent. I was Rose Garden's next master. Countless glories were concentrated on me. However, after you joined Rose Garden, it only took you 50 years to surpass me. Everything I had was taken away from me. Everyone would only say that you, Carolina, had extraordinary talent, that you were a peerless genius with the highest hopes of promoting to a starry sky warlock. Master was also biased, and passed on the position of Rose Garden's master to you. When others mentioned Rose Garden, they would only remember your name, Carolina, before mentioning me in passing. Even the man I liked only liked you. Do you know how much I've hated you for hundreds of years? Cordelia's pretty face became extremely malevolent, and she said each syllable. Carolina's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of a complicated glint, and she remained silent. Even if I hated you, but everything in Rose Garden was under your control. Your talent was indeed extraordinary, a genius rarely seen in 1,000 years in Rose Garden, a freak with the highest hopes of promoting to a starry sky warlock. In any case, I was far from being your match. Originally, I intended to take all of this to my grave and properly become my flame rose. But fortunately, a holy war broke out that engulfed the entire continent. The devils of the underworld's races brought me a kind of wondrous medicine, the abyssal demonic dragon's rainbow leafy fruit. This wondrous fruit itself didn't have any toxicity, and was instead a wondrous medicine that greatly nourished people. But once this wondrous medicine came into contact with white jade rose dew, it would produce a kind of wondrous poison. Even great warlock rank experts would find it hard to resist a peerless wondrous poison. These days, I've specially had people make some white jade rose dew for little sister Carolina and little sister Clarissa to drink. It's delicious, right? Cordelia's beautiful countenance trembled with laughter. She was extremely carefree, and the several hundred years of depression had dissipated in an instant. Carolina and Clarissa's complexions were pale, and their beautiful eyes flickered with anger. They hadn't thought that Cordelia, their senior apprentice sister from the same sect who had always been very good to them, would actually use such a poison on them. Even a peerless genius like Carolina had been careless, and had also fallen for it. White jade rose dew was a very rare treasure in Rose Garden. Only the 3 great warlocks would have a small amount of it every year, and it could slightly enhance the soul aptitude of great warlock rank experts. While drinking, Carolina was still lamenting that Cordelia was too good. She hadn't thought that the other party would actually have such a plot. Chapter 152. Cordelia said with a sweet smile, "Originally, little sister Carolina, if you were to hide in St. Rose's Warlock Pagoda, then I wouldn't be able to do anything to you. However, I knew that you would come to watch the first day of the Warlock Convention. This gave me the opportunity to easily catch you and little sister Clarissa in one fell swoop. As long as I get rid of the 2 of you, then the entire Rose Garden will be in my pocket." Carolina said coldly, "Monsters like devils are the most capricious and treacherous ones. If you kill us, then how will you resist the allied forces of the underworld's races? They're not kind-hearted people. They'll definitely seize this opportunity to attack Rose Garden. It's impossible for you to defend Rose Garden by yourself." Rose Garden had a large number of warlock pagodas. Once they joined forces and launched the defensive Great Array, then even a starry sky warlock rank expert would be able to resist, or even suppress. However, without enough warlocks standing guard, then the defensive Great Arrays wouldn't be able to display. Cordelia killed Carolina and Clay Lisa here, so it was necessary to purge the 2's trusted subordinates. After such a purge, Rose Garden's strength would drop by at least 2/3. The allied forces of the underworld's races would definitely not let this weak Rose Garden off. After all, Rose Garden possessed a divine-level secret treasure. In the past, no one dared to have any ideas about Rose Garden. That was because Rose Garden was too powerful, and attacking Rose Garden would be tantamount to throwing away one's life. Once Rose Garden was weak, then countless hungry wolves would pounce on it and tear it to pieces. Cordelia said with a confident smile, "I've already secretly believed in His Holiness Devil Viscount Gadsden of the ancient demonic plane's 6th layer. Under his demonic might, no one can invade my Rose Garden." "Devil Viscount?" When these words came out, all the warlocks' complexions changed greatly. The ancient demonic plane was a terrifying plane capable of contending against the world of warlocks. Only the founding emperors of the 8 great warlock dynasties had once subdued this plane. In the ancient demonic plane, there were countless extremely powerful ancient devils, ancient fiends as well as some powerful ancient demons. Among them, the demonic devil Viscount was as strong as a weak god among gods. If a demonic ogre Viscount's true body personally came to Tyrandot subcontinent, then it alone could kill all of Tyrandot subcontinent's experts and easily capture the nests of the 6 great warlock groups. Even if it was only a clone, there would be very few opponents in Tyrandot subcontinent. Since Cordelia had the support of a demon Viscount, it was naturally difficult for Rose Garden to fall. Carolina coldly said, "In order to deal with me, you actually went to worship the devil. Don't you know that after you die, your soul will be taken back to the ancient demon realm and become the property of the demon Viscount? Demons were not good people. Once a person believed in a devil and made a deal with a devil of the baron rank or above, they would be able to become a devil. Once a believer died, his soul would enter the ancient demonic plane through the laws of the underworld and be taken away by the devil, becoming the possession of the devil. Therefore, in the world of warlocks, there were generally no warlocks who believed in devils." Cordelia said with a slight smile, "Of course I know. But as long as I promote to a Starry Sky warlock and then go to the main continent, there will always be a way to solve this hidden danger. Even if I can't solve it, then after I die, my soul will fall into the ancient demon plane. In the future, I might be able to reincarnate and become a devil, obtaining a new life through another method." For fiends, devils, gods, and many other formidable beings, the souls of experts were extremely precious treasures. Many formidable ancient devils would seduce experts from other planes to fall into depravity and make deals with them, obtaining the other party's soul, and then transforming them into formidable devils, turning them into their trusted aides and elite experts. As for the souls of the weak, they would be used as materials to produce soul stones. Angels, one of the strongest battle units under the command of other planes gods, were weapons of war made from the souls of experts. The stronger the expert during their lifetime, the greater the evolution potential of the angel they could transform into after death. Cordelia gave a sweet smile. Her smile was very beautiful, but the words coming out of her mouth were full of malice. "Big Sister Carolina, don't you feel that you're getting weaker and weaker? Sacred Rose Light Secret Method is indeed one of the 6 top secret methods in Tyrandot subcontinent, with extremely high poison resistance. But after all, you're not a Starry Sky warlock, so it's impossible for you to be immune to this kind of strange mixed poison. The longer you drag on, the weaker you'll become. Now that I've told you everything, you should be satisfied, right? Can you obediently die now? I'll cast a secret method and sacrifice your and little sister Clarissa's souls to my master, the great devil Viscount Gadsden. He'll be very happy, and then bestow me with even greater power." "You're right, this mixed poison is indeed very powerful. Even I can't get rid of it. However, if I want to kill you, my current strength is already enough." Carolina's beautiful eyes blossomed with a dazzling divine light. She gave a furious roar and instantly erupted with a terrifying life force infinitely close to the Starry Sky warlock rank. With a flick of her lily-white hand, a copper mirror engraved with countless rose motifs and brimming with a simple and unadorned aura appeared in her hand. Tremendous spirit force frantically poured into the copper mirror. Shortly after, an incomparably vast and sacred aura slowly diffused from the copper mirror, as if a god brimming with a sacred and radiant aura was awakening from the copper mirror. The semi-divine armament bright rose divine mirror. Cordelia's pretty complexion changed. She took out a pitch-black statue of a devil, shrouded in demonic chi, with a malevolent expression and a vertical eye between its eyebrows. It was incomparably majestic and didn't resemble a human being. She screamed, "Your Holiness Gadsden, quickly come and save me." After Cordelia screamed, she casually tore a magic scroll. In a flash, countless icicles erupted and shot towards the Royal Grand Arena's spectator stands like raindrops. Hundreds of warlocks were pierced through by the icicles without the slightest ability to resist, their bodies dripping with blood. The vertical eye between the eyebrows of the strange statue of a devil flashed with a bloody radiance, and as if a bloody whirlpool, it revolved continuously. The blood of the hundreds of warlocks was completely sucked into the statue of a devil. The bodies of the hundreds of warlocks that had their blood sucked dried up, and they turned into hundreds of desiccated corpses with frightened expressions on their faces. After the statue of a devil absorbed the blood of the hundreds of warlocks, it swayed lightly and rose against the wind. As if brimming with life force, its life force rose steadily, continuously evolving from an ordinary great warlock, becoming more and more powerful. The statue of a devil casually made a grabbing motion, and two black whirlpools suddenly appeared, fell on the spectator stands, and twisted in a flash. The flesh and blood of the hundreds of warlocks that didn't have the strength to resist collapsed, and they were sucked into the black whirlpools. After the black whirlpools absorbed the flesh and blood of the hundreds of warlocks, the life force of the statue of a devil became a bit stronger. The entire statue also had a trace of a living person's aura, as if it was coming to life. Gadsden's eyes turned, fell on Carolina, and he said with a faint smile, "You're St. Rose City's Carolina, you look pretty good. I admire you very much. Believe in me, and offer your everything to me. I'll bestow you eternal life. After you die, I'll transform you into an ancient devil, and you'll forever accompany me. Go to hell, wretched, lowly devil." Carolina was very clear that she couldn't let the statue of a devil continue to grow stronger. She gave a shrill howl, and pointed the rose divine mirror at the statue of a devil. In a flash, a radiant and sacred radiance erupted from the rose divine mirror, and turned into a white beam of light. With a terrifying power to purify everything, it shot towards Gadsden. Gadsden's eyes flashed with a touch of graveness, and he reached out with his hand. Two black whirlpools that seemed to be able to devour everything suddenly appeared in front of him. The white beam of light bombarded the black whirlpools, and immediately purified and decomposed them inch by inch. Gadsden's true body was extremely tyrannical, and he could kill a great warlock like Carolina with a casual strike. But this statue was merely an incomplete clone of him. It had crossed planes and descended here, and its strength was greatly reduced. Furthermore, it didn't have the corresponding secret treasure, and was unexpectedly suppressed by the white light emitted by the rose divine mirror. Kacha! Kacha! Following a series of crisp sounds, cracks appeared on Gadsden's body one after another, and the black vortex became smaller and smaller. Damn it! If my true body was here, then I could slap you to death with a single palm. Gadsden issued an unreconciled howl, and his body collapsed inch by inch, before turning into fragments that splashed in all directions. The white beam of light was also weakened to the extreme, and it slammed into Cordelia. Cordelia's force field was directly smashed, and she was sent flying to the ground. She spat out a large mouthful of blood. Carolina also spat out a large mouthful of blood. Her tender body swayed slightly, and she fell to the ground. The semi-divine armament rose divine mirror also fell to the ground, and she stared at Cordelia with extreme unwillingness. So long as she persisted for another 10 seconds, then she would be able to kill Cordelia. Ha, I won. Little sister Carolina, in the end, I won. I finally beat you. Cordelia gasped for breath, and stood up from the ground. She laughed wantonly, indescribably elated. At this moment, the motionless lion of the north, Cobham, who was lying on the ground, suddenly rose up. Like an aurora, he shot out like lightning, and fiercely stabbed at Cordelia with a gloomy dagger in his hand. Cordelia was caught off guard, and only had enough time to shift her body slightly, before Cobham's dagger stabbed into her abdomen. Fuck! Cordelia's eyes were bloodshot, and she gave a furious roar. A flame rose imprint appeared on her right palm, and she fiercely slammed it at Cobham. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation, audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.